Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping into something that sounds like it's straight out of a spy movie. It's a technology that tackles one of the biggest paradoxes of our digital world.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Imagine two competing hospitals that want to pool their patient data. Why? To train an AI that could detect cancer way earlier. It's a noble goal, right? But they absolutely cannot share that private information, legally or ethically. Or what about two huge banks? They need to figure out their combined risk in the market, but there's no way they're showing each other their client lists. So what do you do?
So here's our game plan. We'll start with what we're calling the data dilemma. Then we'll introduce a totally new kind of trust, one that's built on math. We'll peek under the hood to see how it works, talk about the real-world costs, see it in action, and wrap up with the one rule you just have to remember.
Okay, let's kick things off with this fundamental problem. We know for a fact that when we share data and work together, amazing things happen. Breakthroughs, innovations, you name it. But, and it's a big but, the risk of letting your secrets out into the open is just massive.
It's this constant tug of war, isn't it? On one side, collaboration is everything. The more data we can combine, the smarter our insights get. But on the other side, you've got confidentiality. If you let your private data slip, you could lose your competitive edge, or even worse, break the trust your users have in you. And for years, we've basically been told, pick one. You can't have both.
But what if that's not true anymore? What if you could have both? What if you could get all the benefits of working together with none of the risk? Well, this is where a completely new kind of trust, one that's powered by some seriously clever cryptography, comes into play.
It's called Secure Multi-Party Computation, or MPC for short. And yeah, I know, that is a mouthful. But the actual idea behind it is surprisingly simple and, honestly, brilliant.
There it is. That's the core promise. Just imagine for a second you can run calculations on a spreadsheet that's completely encrypted. You can't see a single number in it, but you still get the correct final answer, the total, the average, whatever you're looking for. You get the result without ever seeing the raw ingredients. That's the magic right there.
So you're probably asking, how on earth is that even possible? The secret is that MPC completely changes who or what you're trusting. See, instead of trusting a person or some third-party company not to peek at the data, and let's be honest, people can make mistakes or have bad intentions, you put your trust in the cold, hard, verifiable laws of mathematics. It's all just incredibly advanced crypto.
All right, let's pop the hood and take a quick look at how this engine actually runs. And don't worry, we're not going to get bogged down in terrifying equations. We're just going to build a simple mental model for how it all works.
Okay, picture this. You've got three friends who want to figure out their average salary, but no one wants to say their number out loud. Here's how they do it with MPC. First, each person takes their salary, encrypts it, and then splits that encrypted number into three random-looking pieces of data. Step 2, they each keep one piece for themselves and hand the other two pieces to their friends. So now, everyone is holding three chunks of gobbledygook. Step 3, each person adds up the three random pieces they're holding. And finally, Step 4, they combine those three partial sums, and like magic, the result is the correct total salary of all three of them. From there, finding the average is easy.
And that right there is the genius of it. At no point in that whole process could any one person figure out what their friends make. The pieces they held were completely meaningless on their own. The secret data was used to get the answer, but it was never, ever revealed.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like the perfect solution to everything. But you know how it goes. In the real world, this kind of cryptographic magic doesn't come for free. Achieving this level of security is, well, it's pretty demanding.
Yeah, doing NPC in its purest form is tough. Think about all that splitting and sharing we just talked about. That creates a ton of communication going back and forth between everyone involved, which can really slow things down. It also takes a whole lot of raw computing power, and frankly, designing these protocols is incredibly complex stuff, not for the faint of heart.
So what do people actually do to make this practical? Well, they find a balance. To get around these heavy costs, most real-world systems don't just use MPC by itself. Instead, they build a hybrid. And this table really shows you the trade-off they're making. To speed things up, a lot of systems combine MPC with something called a Trusted Execution Environment, or a TEE. The easiest way to think of a TEE is like a super secure vault built right into the computer chip itself. Now, if you look at the comparison, pure MPC gives you the absolute highest level of security. It's guaranteed by math alone, but it's slow. The hybrid approach, using those TEEs, is way faster and more efficient. The catch? You have to trust that the hardware manufacturer built that vault correctly and that it's truly secure.
Okay, so enough with the theory. We know the trade-offs. Where is this technology actually making a difference in the world right now?
And trust me, this is not just some academic fantasy. It is being used today in some of the most sensitive industries out there. We're talking about financial firms using it to model massive risk portfolios, healthcare groups analyzing clinical data without exposing patient identities, and even in digital advertising to figure out if ads are working without tracking individual users. Really, the bottom line is this simple. If you're in a high-stakes situation where you have to share and collaborate, but you just can't or won't trust the other people at the table with your raw data, then MPC is your answer. Which brings us to our final and most important point. If you're going to take one thing away from all of this, let it be this next idea. That's it. That's the unbreakable rule. Secure multi-party computation lets you work together without ever having to show your cards. It is collaboration without compromise.
Look, this technology isn't easy. It can be expensive, and it requires some serious expertise to get right. But as the source material puts it so perfectly, when data privacy truly matters, there is no shortcut. This is the real deal. This is how you protect secrets in a world that is more connected than ever.
So I'll just leave you with this question. If you could securely and safely combine data from anyone, any company, any hospital, any research lab, anywhere in the world, without fear, what world-changing problem would you solve first?